Okay. What we're gonna do? Huh? Contribute to the. All right. Wow, that's creepy. All right. So listen up. Here's what we're gonna do. Are we recording? Okay, it's flashing red. Good. What we're gonna do, guys, is have ourselves a Paideia seminar discussion like we did in the fall, and it's gonna be about this reading. We're gonna start with some easy questions and then move on to some more general, like far-reaching questions. So to start, they're going to be kind of basic stuff about the reading itself, and then we'll move into other stuff. But I want you to take the discussion wherever you want to with it, and think about what the message of the speech that Roosevelt gave was, and try to make sense of it, okay? I understand, listen up, guys. I understand the reading was a little bit long, and that's... honestly, guys, it really wasn't that long. And
I read it during the blackout.
all right, listen up, guys. All right, this reading, I understand it was a little long, okay. But with it, what you need to do is this is an example of how you read for college class. Also, all right, you're going to get readings to do for college class that are long. You need to figure out how to read them effectively and swiftly. So, if you read every single tiny word on this page, you probably read it incorrectly because you don't need to read every single word to get what he's saying, especially when it's a speech, okay? Skimming it, highlighting important points to you that stand out, that's how you want to read it, okay? And after you read it, hopefully you finished your questions at the very end. All right. So what I want to start with, guys, is we're going to go around and make sure this is when we're doing this Paideia that you're not having your side conversation. You're having one conversation, so there should only be one voice in the circle at a time. Let's start, and I want you to share out what passage, little quote stood out to you in the reading. Okay. Yeah. All right. Here we go. So, and I've got this chart thingy, so I'll look at who's talking to each other. Okay. So, my quote, I'll start with mine. Mine was on that first page in the middle of the paragraph, nothing worth gaining is ever gained without effort. Keep going.
Okay. I'll use this one down here. I'll put, it's just the same way with politics. It makes me feel half angry and then half really amused. So I just thought it was kind of true.
Okay, then I'll read this one. Okay, it says, begin with the little things and do not expect to accomplish anything without an effort.
Mine was, no man can be a good citizen who is not a good husband and a good father, who is not honest in his dealings with other men and women, faithful to his friends and fearless in the presence of his foes, who has not got a sound heart, a sound mind, and a sound body.
Mine was the same as yours.
It's okay.
Mine is, if freedom is worth having, if the right of self-government is a valuable right, then the one and the other must be retained exactly as the forefathers acquired them, by labor and especially by labor in organization, that is, in combination with our fellows who have the same interests and the same principles.
Finally, the man who wishes to do his duty as a citizen in our country must be imbued through and through with the spirit of patriotism.
Okay. Mine is the screaming vulgarity of the foolish spread eagle orator who is continually yelling defiance at Europe, praising everything American, good and bad, and resenting the introduction of any reform because it has previously been tried successfully abroad, is offensive and contemptible to the last degree.
I said, in a free republic, the ideal citizen must be one willing to and able to take arms for the defense of the flag, exactly as the ideal citizen must be the father of many healthy children.
One seemingly very necessary precaution to utter is that a man who goes into politics should not expect to reform everything right off of a jump.
I do wish more people like good citizens would get on politics and would do so with the same spirit which their fathers went into federal army.
I think that we ought to be more broad-minded enough to recognize the facts that a citizen, striving with fearless honesty and common sense to do his best for the nation, can render service to it in many different ways, and by connection, many different organizations.
I'm fully convinced that to do the best work, we must be organized organization is really a party, whether it be a great organization covering the whole nation and numbering its millions of inhabitants, or an association of citizens in a particular locality banding together to win a certain specific victory.
It don't have to be a paragraph though.
No.
Speaking, it's okay. The voice of the people is not always the voice of God, and when it happens to be the voice of the devil, then it is man's clear duty to defy his behests.
Do I have to read Travis's?
No, you can read yours.
Okay, good. I'll put, it is perfectly right to consider the question of failure while shaping one's efforts to succeed in the struggle for the right.
Mine is, you can no more have freedom without striving and suffering. For it then you can win and succeed as a banker or a lawyer. Without labor and effort, without self-denial and youth and the display of a ready and alert intelligence in the Middle Ages.
Do I have to read the whole thing, Lord?
How long is yours? There we go.
It's just like 3 sentences.
Yeah.
But I don't want to read it.
Yeah,
Okay.
read it.
Grave perils are yet to be encountered in the stormy course of the Republic. Perils from political corruption, perils from individual laziness, indolence and timidity, perils springing from the greed of the unscrupulous rich, and from the anarchic violence of the thriftless and turbulent poor.
Mine was the same as Jacob's.
Okay. Cool. So you've all read a section from this, and you've looked at Roosevelt's life. So here's the first question I want you guys to try to think about. And there's no, and this one kind of has a clear-cut answer, but why? So what was Roosevelt's purpose in giving the speech, and why do you think he's trying to write this for the time? What's going on?
To give America hope. Aggression. Make sure they keep strong.
Yeah, I think the main reason he wrote this is to, say, we need to pick it up, we need to work hard, we need to, everybody needs to be in the politics so you know what's going on and we can have a strong country that everybody knows, what's going on with it.
I think I took from it that everybody can make it if they would really, any American citizen can really make it if they put their mind.
Okay. That's the basic question. So why did he give the speech? Well, for all those reasons you said, because he's talking about citizenship. And you have to remember also that this was the time of political machines, right? So if it's a political machines, well, that's all, the politics is dominated by them. So here's my second question, okay?
I'm sorry I've thrown you off.
That's
You're
okay.
Probably in a zone.
You're all right.
Can you cover Miss Lee's class 4th period today?
I can try.
She does not have a sub.
Okay.
There are no subs.
Okay.
We have all kinds of people out.
That's cool.
Everybody's gone.
That's cool. I can try. All right. So here's the question, guys. Sorry. Focus back. All right. Focus back. How do the ideas given by Roosevelt influence our modern world? Okay. So he's talking in here about politics. How does it influence our modern world? And do you think that we're doing what he talked about?
I think he influenced us, was getting rid of monopolies and stuff like that, trying to help out. But I guess that's what continues today, helping with that stuff, and then a lot of the strikes and stuff like that, and labor unions that help out people working. Make sure that everybody's, they're not fair and they're not working 15 hours a day every day of the week. They actually have time off.
I don't think we're doing what he said because he was talking about doing what our founding fathers said, and we totally tried to mix that up. And then it says stuff about foreign policies and not getting mixed up with it, and we're all into that. That's something else. Can't remember something I was reading and totally remember this. And it's like working your way up. I think in politics, we don't really do that as much anymore.
They just kind of really gain position.
Yeah.
They're these big CEOs, and the next thing you know, they're running for president, or they're these big time lawyers, and then they go on.
Yeah, Yeah, it says in the it says the first duty of American citizen is that he shall work in politics. The second duty is that he shall do work in a practical manner, and his third is that it shall be done in accord with the highest principle of honor and justice. Now, I don't think people they just work so they can have money, and then half the people don't even work; they're just handed money by the government.
And then you have a lot of politicians now that just really they don't care what the people say. They just go in there to do what they think, not what the people think.
They're like before the people, and they'll say, well, we'll do this and this and this, but how much of that's really been done?
But
Most of them are already born into
born in this.
It's hard for somebody to work their way up.
But I also think he actually was trying to warn the public too to be careful of who you choose, because sometimes that the people in there can be corrupted and will take advantage of that self-reflectance, basically, only putting on themselves instead of just taking the situation as a country and looking over it.
Is that about it? Did y'all exhaust that? All right. So, I mean, you brought up a good point, and I've heard it over here too. He says the quote, and I can't find it for whatever reason, but he says that politicians should not make it a career.
That's all they're doing.
Anybody want to talk about that?
I mean, that's all they do now is they turn it into they become, like I said, they are these big businessmen, and they drop everything, just become a Senate leader or a join the House of Representatives just so they can do what the people want.
But in reality, they're just going to do what they think is right, no matter what.
I don't know, one person really in politics who honestly enjoy it. I've always heard everybody, when you're president, you get so many gray hairs and it's so stressful. And you can really see the change in attitude from Obama when he first came in. He was oh, happy now. He just doesn't seem as happy. He just doesn't seem like he likes it at all. I just don't think he enjoys it, and I think that was kind of the purpose of politics, to enjoy it and try to make it better for the American society.
And sometimes they're look at me, I'm all big, and I can do what I want, and they don't really think about what the people want, because the people voted them in there, and they should be doing what the people ask them to do, not what they think is right.
It starts to lose control and stuff.
But
The power.
people are too scared to speak up, though, because they're fearful of the government when it should be the other way around.
And plus, when we do try to speak up, nothing happens because it's just one person speaking up, and they're like, oh, it's just a nobody. What am I going to take from a nobody?
And then the other people are just well, there's enough people speak up, I'll speak up too, but there's not enough people because everybody's thinking that.
It also depends on which person spoke up. Like Jacob said, if it's some person off the street, no one's going to really listen. But then again, if it's someone from a big company, let's say Apple,
the president's friend,
or got money.
But I think it really depends on who it is, because the president and stuff they get I think they kind of forget what it's like to be where we are, because they've gotten so much power. They got so much power where they are, they kind of forget what it's like to be middle lower class, not upper class. Oh, I've got all this money.
Most of them, they've never been middle lower class, either one. They were born in the brain, they were born into politics. I ain't saying all of them, just saying, most of them.
Well, I mean, that's how they become presidents, because they have the money for ads already and all that stuff.
And campaign, stuff like that.
I think the road to becoming in any office, it's all what money do you have now? Because if you don't have money, you're not going to get anywhere, and that's the only way to get elected. So you're not looking at people that might actually be able to make a change. You're looking at people that have money, and then you've got to choose the lesser of two evils of who has the most money.
And that's the kind of stuff that our forefathers warned us about. I think, is it people just getting in there and doing what they want, not for the people, not for the people?
Well, basically.
That's what
I think that's what they would have wanted.
He thinks that American citizens should just work their way up and really want it, because that shows that you really want it if you're doing it that long.
Because everybody bases it on what they see in the media, and no one really looks at how the president really is. They just listen to what the media says. If the media says it's good, then it's good.
And that's all Obama and Romney said was, well, I'm a family man. I'm just like you. No. No.
but
Yeah, it's normal and stuff, but they don't like it all. It's not that much blue. You're not
Like,
normal.
how can a Romney benefit, like, you know, this big, you know, middle, you know, living the middle class life when he's like worth $200 million? Like, how's that even possible?
All right, so you're kind of hitting around all of it too, but Roosevelt said, and this one's on the front page, I believe, every man must devote a reasonable share of his time to doing his duty in the political life of the community. Has that happened? Do we do that? Does every man contribute? And what do you think our world would be like if every man did?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
oh,
That's how it feels.
no, you can go ahead. Because I forgot what I was going to say.
It would be a lot better because and everyone would be listening to everybody else's ideas because they'd all just be going for it. It wouldn't be one man, well, I'm right and you're wrong, so I'm going to do what I want.
I kind of really don't like what Roosevelt's saying here because some people, they have to be variety. People who don't vote and don't support the government and those who do support the government. I mean, we have to have some variety in there, not just everybody should vote, everybody should be for this government. Nobody should be, like, you know, turning down. But that's what I think.
I think in a sense, like, they've tried to, like, figure out a way, like, that's kind of why we have a democracy because, like, they want everybody's voice to be heard, but they think that, like, what they say is how we're represented. Like, we go with whose idea we like the best. Like, that was their idea of kind of getting our voice out there. That's what I think.
So is the main question about, like, if everybody pitched in job-wise?
No.
Well, what Roosevelt's asking, what he says here is that every person needs to be involved in the political life of the community.
So, like,
What is he asking for?
Like
How does he
civic-
want?
like civic
He's asking
duties?
for people to be
Mhm.
informed.
And like it's sad because like not everybody votes, and like I think that's something important because to be part of the political community, you need to vote.
Going on to what Chelsea said, I feel like you do need a vote because voting is a freedom, and if you abuse that freedom, why are you?
But what if you don't like anybody that's running?
Exactly. But you vote for the
list.
Right, somebody?
Yeah, the list.
But, like, I don't know if y'all were watching when the election was going on, though. Well, first off, they didn't send absentee ballots to the soldiers overseas. I mean, they're American citizens, too, so my family had to partially send Patrick one. But there was more people that voted in one of the states than there was actually people there, like, because of the dead people voting. Yeah. Like, yeah, there's people going in and voting for people that are already
Yeah, I
dead.
saw that.
And there was more people that voted in one state than actually lived there.
So let me ask you this: how does that situation relate to the whole time period we're looking at now? What's going on in the time period? Who read that Shame of the Cities last week? Yeah. Talk about that.
What'd you say?
It's kind of the same thing.
Go for it.
Because, like, that whole paragraph was talking about, like, big businesses that kind of control the government and, like, people with a lot of money that control the government. That's kind of, it's not the exact same today, but it's kind of the same.
Yeah, like when I see it, like I can compare a lot from this time period and the time period we're in now because there's not hardly that much differences. You know, we got these big businesses that are running the country. It's not a monopoly, but they're still running the country and how we do things and basically how the government does stuff.
You think it would be different by now? Like,
Yeah.
all they ever talk
And
about
we
is
still-
change.
Yeah.
We need to get better, but then it stays the same.
Yeah, like we change for like probably about 20 years or maybe 10 years, and then it goes back into the same shape we were.
But it's very minor changes.
Yeah.
It's not going to repeat itself.
Well, history tends to repeat itself
Because history repeats itself. Boom.
if those don't study it.
So the main question right here, the essential question says, what does it take to affect real and permanent change? It sounds like that we haven't done that. Think about the things that happened in this time period. Has there been real and permanent change? I mean, it sounds like not so much, but what do you notice? What is different? I mean, you mentioned that, sir, there's some things that are different, but how do we get that to happen, and where does it start?
I think the citizens, the people of America, need to get their butts up and, like, do something. Because
Putting their foot down.
I believe to have permanent change, it should be slow progress. The slow progress is lasting progress.
Yeah, because like you take something that starts really fast, it's not going to last that long. it's just going to slowly start to
They live in
end.
Boomtown.
It kind of seems like,
Just bought something else.
like if you do everything at one time and you get it all accomplished, you don't have anything to work toward. So if you go at a slower pace, and you can take your time to fix things.
And so everybody can analyze it and understand it and want to kind of shape to it.
I think if you look back at history, like, it takes something really bad to happen for people to get really mad about it, for it to change. Like, something really awful has to happen before people will forever
Like
get
labor
mad about it.
unions, they didn't even start coming around until them people got burned up in a fire. I mean, it took to that point. It took to that point. Those extremities. It took to those extremities for that to even happen, and that's sad that it took people to die for any change to even
And
happen.
that's just like with all the other natural disasters. You don't see communities working together until something like the Sandy Hook or
Yeah.
other natural disasters
But I
happen.
think one thing you need more than anything is trust. But no one trusts anybody nowadays, especially when, because they'll say they'll do something and then they don't do it.
Like
But
with
they know they're not going to be able to do it, so why make that promise?
But like with the Japanese, they had the big earthquake, and they came together as brothers and sisters, and they didn't even know each other. But we have natural disasters over here, and then people don't even, they're just like, get off my property or I'll shoot you. Don't take this or don't take that. They just, they don't really care about
I
each
wouldn't
other.
go to that extreme because like when it happened in New York, I know a lot of people from like North Carolina or other countries, other states who went up to hell. I mean, I don't think we're just like a bunch of heartless people who don't care about.
Well, I'm just
anybody
saying,
else.
in just some
And
cases,
also,
there is that.
I feel it's kind of like bad that you compare it to like Japan and here, because in Japan, the earthquake was bad, and yes, they did come together, but it was only after because it was the nuclear. What was it, the nuclear
reactor?
Yeah, the nuclear reactor plant. Whatever it was. That's why they weren't fighting over their property. If something like that happened here, I'm pretty sure we would come together and fight to support each other.
The world's problems, even back then, all started over greed. Still there,
Greed and corruption.
So let me take this in another direction, because one of Roosevelt's biggest pushes was conservation, right? So, last question of the day, talking about real and permanent change. How should that problem be tackled? If we're using Roosevelt's idea, should this be something that the public worries about? Or should this be something that is just a private issue, just a private concern for the people? And is it something that we even need to be focused on today? Because it sounds like our biggest problem is people aren't involved. But what do you say to that?
What, conservation?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's kind of a dull topic right there.
I feel like we should all get I feel like we should all be involved in it, but I feel like we're not really concerned and it's not really our top priority at this moment.
Not everybody's gonna come together and do something because not everybody agrees with everybody. Nobody can nobody can agree with anything.
And nothing super bad has happened, so no one really cares about it.
Yeah. Until something really impacts our environment, there's just everybody's just going to stand there like.
And most
Probably
people are
just
like,
worry.
well, it's not going to happen within my time period, so why should I worry? At least you got to think about your future generations.
But over the years, it all took, it took people to stand up, people to, rally people together.
Like, you didn't have, women couldn't even vote, but, if Susan B. Anthony and those people did not have stood up, then women wouldn't be able to vote today, It takes people
But now people are more worried about now and in the moment than they are in the future because of all the technology changes and because of all the other political changes that have happened than in the past.
And on that we'll stop, because that's a good place to stop.